Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3 Wide TV, tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing Schue's Lawn Care Cup Series here from Lucas Oil Raceway Park. I'm Peter Short, and I am all by my lonesome here tonight. You don't have to listen to that, that old chappie named Garrett Gleason, who usually sits alongside me. He may be joining here in a little bit, but we are at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. The green flag run, will it continue here tonight on the short tracks? We've been green flag for the last couple of races here on 3 Wide TV. A lot to talk about here as we bring up your live timing and scoring. Up there in the top left-hand corner of your screen, you see last week's race winner, Chuck Sweeting, fastest of all here in practice. He kind of said this racetrack was a little bit of an unknown for him. It's a difficult one, this racetrack. Here's Philip Scott. Actually, as I say that, well, Philip Scott makes me a liar. He jumps up to the top of the board in the number 99 machine, our winner from Pocono a couple of races ago. This is a tough racetrack, a very difficult track to pass at. It is variably banked. On the bottom side of the racetrack, it's a little bit flatter than it is up at the top of the corner. You'll see that a little bit. Let's see if we can actually see that here in turn number 2. Well, you can't really see it, but heck, I'll tell you what, these drivers sure enough can feel it as the checkered flag does fall. Philip Scott fastest, Chuck Sweeting in second, then Tom Bourne, good showing for the number 16, who was actually very, very quick last week, and we keeping our eyes on the number 16 here tonight as we move over into the qualifying session. I want to welcome all of you at home here on 3 Wide TV. Checking out the chat. It's been a bit quiet so far. Hopefully you guys can hear me. We had an issue a couple of races ago when I muted myself, but everything's looking good on my end as we got drivers out there to get rolling here on board with John Canizaro Jr. Great to see the number 82 in the field here tonight as he works his way up onto the racetrack. Let's see what John Canizaro Jr. is going to do here in this qualifying session. You can see he's running a little bit up the racetrack. That's because the bottom side of the racetrack, right down there on the yellow line, or, well, I guess it is a yellow line. I think it's a white line through turn number 3 and 4. It's just so flat down there. So you want to run kind of a groove or two up on this racetrack, and that's where Canizaro is running right now. You get a little bit extra banking, and it allows you to carry a little bit more speed through the corner. Now he goes up a little bit higher in 3 and 4, maybe just trying to get heat in the tires for lap number 2. Comes around to complete his first lap, maybe a little bit of a wiggle out the back of his Dodge Charger. He's going to jump to the top of the board above Chuck Sweeting by 0.03 of a second, but a big power slide out of turn number 2. That might hinder lap number 2 for the 82, as 2s are wild here on the channel, obviously. Comes out of turn number 4, coming to the line. Can he pick up on the lap time he turned on lap number 1? Looks like he may have just done so a little bit, but Philip Scott's going to pip him to the top of the table. Philip Scott with a very fast lap, 22.35, 0.06 of a second, separating our top 2. And Chuck Sweeting is not out there on the racetrack. Tom Bourne is out on there on the racetrack, though, our third-place driver from practice. What can he do in his Ford Fusion? Like I said, last week had a great run. Was able to come from pretty much the back of the field. Didn't even really get any practice laps in at Chicagoland, but was able to get himself up solidly into the top 5. I think he picked up 16 or something positions, something like that, something ridiculous last week at Chicagoland. Going to be more difficult to do that here on this short track as he works his way out of turn number 4, puts his first qualifying lap time in. Going to put him 4th on the board. He loops it around, though, on his second lap, so not going to be able to improve. But the outside of row number 2, at least for right now. Jonathan Gaston still out there on the racetrack in the number 72. A little bit of a new look on his Chevrolet this week. Matt Muir was also out there on the racetrack, but here's a fast driver, winner of both races back at Daytona. This is Bronson Stafford, goes all the way up to the top side to try and get his first lap completed here. About 2 minutes left in qualifying. So far, Bob Giaquinto, Robert Tripp, and Bronson Stafford, the drivers yet to put a time in, but as I say that, Stafford clicks off his first one. Not a fast one on lap number 1 for Bronson Stafford. 12th on the board. That is a bit surprising for the driver of the number 61, I should say. As folks, as I say a lot of words here tonight, Garrett Gleason hopefully will be joining us a little bit late. Lap number 2 for Bronson Stafford does see an improvement, but only 2/6, so just missing out on a top 5, parks it in the outside wall, and just like that, this racetrack does fall quiet for right now. Bob Giaquinto, Robert Tripp currently not out there on the racetrack. We'll see whether or not they make it onto the racetrack or not. Let's see if we can bring up the race information for everyone at home. There you can see it. This racetrack, 2/3 of a mile in length, kind of a unique racetrack in terms of its length. You see a lot of half miles. You see even a couple of 3/4 miles like Richmond. Of course, you see Iowa Speedway at 7/8 of a mile, but this one coming in at 2/3 of a mile. Current track temperature 93 degrees Fahrenheit. That will continue to drop as the night goes on here. A little bit of a windy night, 17 miles per hour wind gusts, and that's something these drivers will have to contend with. We've already seen, like the number 16, get a little bit loose in the corner. In fact, maybe that's the reason why Tom Bourne had a little bit of an issue there, is maybe just got an inopportune wind gust, and unfortunately sent him right around there in the corner. That is something these drivers do have to contend with, believe it or not. So, like I said, checkered flag going to be falling out here pretty shortly. Currently, nothing going on out there on the racetrack. So it looks like Philip Scott, John Cannizzaro, our front row here for tonight's 200-lap event. It's going to be a little bit of a long one here, 133 miles at this particular racetrack. Only three sets of tires as well. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. Stage brakes rather, on lap number 50 and lap number 100. So we will give points to the top 8 drivers on those laps. Let's see if we can bring up our starting grid, however, because everyone, of course, needs to go back through and figure out exactly where your favorite driver is going to be rolling off here tonight. Starting on the pole, number 99 machine, Philip Scott, yet to win in TNR on an oval. He has won on a triangle at Poconos, one on a road course, but never on an oval. Could tonight be the night? John Cannizzaro Jr. going to roll off to his outside. Chuck Sweeting, Tom Bourne comprise row number 2. Then row number 3, great qualifying lap. How about this? Jason Schue is going to be starting inside the top 5 in that number 3 machine. I think that might very well be the best qualifying run for Jason Schue here in the Total Nonstop Racing League Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series. Great job out of Jason here tonight. Bronson Stafford, our Daytona double winner, will be rolling off to his outside. Jonathan Gaston and Mike Floppy Tellier from 7th and 8th on the grid. Keep your eyes out on the feisty Canadian there, Mike Tellier. Bill Edwards, not a great qualifying lap for the number 5 machine of Edwards. Usually we see Bill up there closer to the top 5. He'll be trying to pick up positions. Brandon Buchwald, Matt Moyer, and Johnny Williams round out our top 12 starters here tonight. Meanwhile, a little bit further back in the field, Vincent Valvano, Bob Giaquinto, 13th and 14th, and Robert Tripp rounding out our field. All 15 drivers are out there on the racetrack right now, so going to be a lot of fun to see all these drivers in just about a lap or so. It is a short track. That means iRacing does give an extra lap of pacing, so it'll be just a moment before we see that green flag finally fall. But how is everyone doing here tonight? I'm just going to go check out the 3Y TV chat. Johnny Williams saying hello all and welcome to the booth. Hello, Johnny. Hopefully you have a good race here tonight out there in his number 10 machine. Has been having a rough go of it of late here in the Total Nonstop Racing Cup Series. We'll hopefully get everything all rocking and rolling here in just a second. Like I said, green flag racing for the past 2 races. We haven't seen a caution flag. Will that end here tonight on 3Y TV? Green flag is in the flagman's hand. We're getting set to go racing here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. And there it is, green flag in the air. We're racing off towards turn number 1. Cannizzaro Jr. on that high line. Remember, that high line is got a little bit extra banking, and he actually used it to his advantage. New race leader already, John Cannizzaro Jr. out front. This is a racetrack that I expect to see Cannizzaro Jr. try and lead from the front. It's a difficult racetrack to pass at, folks, mainly because of the fact that inside line is so flat. As Jason Schue dropping back from his top 5 qualifying run, already dropped down to 10th, but he's in that bottom groove. It's just not very fast down there. There's not a lot of speed, and he's really struggling right now. Johnny Williams looking to his outside. Behind him, that's Matt Moyer, Vincent Valvano back there. Vinny, who's been really struggling with the tire wear on these Gen 4 cars. The Talkin' Giants Ford Taurus right here racing. Bob Giaquinto and Robert Tripp currently rounding out the field, but pretty much everyone getting single file here at the racetrack. I kind of expected that as, Johnny Williams. Oh, the number 10 has gone around. Green flag stays in the air. You've been mentioned that Johnny Williams has been really struggling. Let's see what's happened here. As I say that, caution flag does wave. Let's see what happened to Johnny Williams first as the number 10's engine has grenaded. Then we'll see what brought out the caution. Johnny coming up off the corner, just got a little bit too much throttle in it and slam bam into the inside wall. Tough break there for Johnny. But then the caution flag came out. Watch the Tim Hortons machine. You see Johnny Williams there spinning in the background, but looks like Buchwald might have just gotten a little bit too much brake there. And there's Bill Edwards, and there's Vincent Valvano. And, Bob Giaquinto going up and under the rear end of the number 64 Talkin' Giants machine. The Talkin' Giants race car getting upended like you'd expect the Giants to be on a Sunday night. Here we go, on board with Bob Giaquinto. You see the spinning car in front. They try and slow down. They're slowing down, and hello. Riding right up the windshield of the tabletop trio, number 23. Let's see if we can get one more look of that one, maybe from on board with Vincent Valvano. Let's see what Vinny had to see. If there was any good wreck avoidance. Look at the number 3 machine. Oh, wow. Jason Schue did a great job getting on the brakes, slowing down, and able to cut back underneath the spinning number 96 of Buchwald. But that ends the caution streak, folk. The caution streak, or the green flag streak, I should say, is over here already in the opening 5 laps at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. John Canizar Jr. is your race leader. Philip Scott in second. Chuck Sweeting third. Tom Bourne in fourth. Chuck qualified third. He's running third. Tom Bourne qualified fourth. He's running fourth. Top 2 have traded spots since the drop of the green. Happened right there on lap 1, turn 1. Well, let's go check out the chat. Let's see if anyone has anything to say. Tyler Avery saying, go John Canizar Jr. Tyler, hopefully you're having a good night. Welcome to 3 Wide TV. Thanks for tuning on in. The Windsors also saying, good luck, Bill. Rooting on the number 5 machine. In fact, let's see if Bill Edwards, I think he might have come down pit road. Did indeed come down pit road. Got some damage repaired. Hopefully just got damage repaired. Hopefully didn't take on a set of tires. That's an accident or something that you can accidentally do because you don't have a whole lot of tires here in the Total Nonstop Racing League Cup Series. Green flag about to be back in the air. It is John Canizaro Jr., the control car. He's chosen the outside line for this upcoming restart. Look at the number 75 of Chuck Sweeting really coming down slow. And that outside line there of Tom Bourne, there's really nothing Chuck Sweeting can do. I think that number 16 is going to clear him up off of turn number 2 right here. But, well, as I say that, Chuck Sweeting got a good run up off turn number 2. Maybe cooled off those tires a little bit, found a little bit of grip. You know, you can kind of run that middle groove. That's what Chuck is doing. It's just very flat on that bottom groove. The outside groove and the middle groove actually have an equal amount of banking. It's kind of wonky. It's not necessarily progressive banking like you find at some of the other racetracks where the banking progressively gets more and more and more as you get closer to the wall. This racetrack just has kind of a banking transition, and you can actually, when you hit that banking transition, it really can change the handling characteristics of your cars. Chuck is really driving it in deep. Speaking of driving it in deep, Tellier just drove it in way too deep. He's picked up 3 spots since the drop of the green, but that was the outside wall there, buddy, as he now might have a little bit of a pancake right hand side of that. Number 47. Green flag continues to be out in the air. Just keeping our eyes. Looks like Vincent Valvano is now 1 lap down after making that contact in that caution, as we got this battle now starting to brew between Chuck Sweeting and Mike Tellier. No one's got anything right now for John Canizaro Jr. Not sure if he's burning up his tires. I think that'd be my big concern here, is burning up your tires, because like I mentioned earlier, these drivers only have 3 sets of tires here tonight, so you got to be careful. You can kind of come down pit road on lap number 50 if you wanted, and then you can come down pit road again on lap number 100, and you can come down at 150. That would be your 3 sets of tires. Bing, bang, boom. I don't know if you're going to want to do that here tonight. Because of the possibility of getting more cautions, these cars are going to continue to get more slippery as the night goes on, just because those tires really start to wear. These cars have a lot of horsepower with these Gen 4 cars, and not a lot of downforce to show for it either. So these things can be really tricky to drive, and they get trickier as the tire wear continues to rage on. As Mike Tellier, they're having some connection issues momentarily. Looks like everything is back in order. Johnny Williams appears to have taken the number 10, unfortunately, behind the wall. Maybe he can get it back out there. RC Plains 59. How's it going, RC Plains? Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back to 3 Wide TV. Rooting on the number 99 and the number 96. Got the number 99 right here on your screen. Brandon Buchwald, after his spin, got a little bit of front end damage on the Tim Hortons Chevrolet, racing with the number 3 of Jason Schue. Meanwhile, back behind him, Robert Tripp showing a little bit of right front damage. We saw Bob Giaquinto go up and under the number 64 that's right in front of him. Hopefully those cars are not too badly damaged. Hopefully they can kind of battle off that damage, if you will. And maybe they can get a couple more cautions to come down and knock out some of those fenders and bring some of that pace back to those cars. But for right now, John Canizaro Jr. is out front here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Philip Scott, Tom Bourne in second. And Tom is actually looking pretty racy here, folks. And number 16, we'll go on board with him, working his way down the backstretch here as you get a look at the speed. Not a very fast racetrack, about 125, 130 miles an hour. It's just so flat, down to 89 in the corner. And then back up on the straightaway, you see that 131 before getting on the brakes. It's just not very a fast racetrack. It's very flat. In fact, this racetrack, 22 and a half second lap times. It's going to be kind of a long race here tonight, folks. It's one of the longer ones on the calendar, as Bourne tries to get it to rotate through the center of the corner. Back behind him, on board now with Chuck Sweeting in his number 75. He's about 3/4 of a second up the road from Mike Floppy Tellier. This is kind of the best battle for position on the racetrack between Philip, Tom Bourne, and Chuck Sweeting. The next best battle for position is back here. Bill Edwards running behind Jonathan Gaston, but really not a whole lot of side-by-side action here to report. Lap counter will continue to click on by. 10% of the race distance will be complete as they go across the start-finish line this next lap. Of course, we do award stage points on lap number 50 and lap number 100 here tonight. So John Canizaro looking good out front. Just checking to see if there's any update from Garrett Gleason to see if he will join me up here in the 3 Wide TV booth. Not seeing anything just yet. Hopefully Garrett can pop in here as soon as he's got some meeting. Makes me think like he's got a big boy job or something like that. I don't know. He's got some meeting that he has to go to. That's what he told me. He said he'll be jumping in as soon as he can. So hopefully that's true. And I don't really know what that means, folks. I really don't know what that means. It could be 3 hours until we see him. I don't know. Hopefully he's back here soon, but and hopefully he's having a good night. But out there on the racetrack, still pretty much single file. Philip Scott, though, does have very, very hungry number 16 behind him. And I mentioned earlier that Bourne really impressed last week at Chicagoland. Well, I think this is even more impressive. Here he is running inside the top 3, racing with Philip Scott, and he's already got 1 win to his name so far this season back at Pocono. And, of course, you got Chuck Sweeting with a couple of wins to his name this season. And all things looking pretty good right now from the number 16's perspective, as he's kind of holding on. But this run, I think this run will definitely get interesting as the tires continue to wear. Who is eating up their tires out there on the racetrack? That is the big question. Tom, of course, folks, forgive me, but of course Tom did get the win back at Atlanta when we raced back at the mile and a half Atlanta Motor Speedway, the old version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. So looking for win number 2 on his tally this season as we ride on board. Got a little bit loose up off the corner. And I have to watch those rear tires because when you get loose like that, folks, it heats up the tires. And when the tires get hot, they get slippery. And when the tires get slippery, you slide more. And when you slide more, your tires get hot. Can you see where I'm going with this? It's kind of can be a compounding, snowballing effect, as it looks like, again, he might have got a little bit sideways up out of the corner. That's something he's going to have to rein in and watch out. Maybe take it a little bit easier here for the next couple. Again, just needs to back it down a little bit. Watch out. Maybe change the brake bias a little bit. He's in a good spot here, but if he continues to get loose up out of the corner, it will continue to get worse and worse and worse. John Cannizzaro Jr. out to a 1.3 second lead over Philip Scott in the number 99 right here. Then Tom Bourne, Chuck Sweeting, Mike Tellier, Bronson Stafford. Next battle within really a second is Bronson Stafford, and then back behind him is Jonathan Gaston. Looks like he's lost the spot to Bill Edwards. I think Edwards was able to get on by a couple of laps ago. Let's see if we can go back on the 3-wide TV replay, catch up on the pass that was made for the 7th position. Here we go. Let's see what happened here. Edwards going into turn number 1 and 2. Got in there really deep. Was able to get that number 5 rotated there through the center. Good job there by Bill Edwards. Not sure if Gaston was trying to rotate, maybe kind of diamond the corner, and maybe Edwards was just kind of able to get underneath him and prevent that from happening, but it looked like Bill took an opportune moment to take that position and move up into 7th after being involved in the first caution flag that we've had tonight. We highlighted the fact that Edwards is usually around the top 5. Qualified in 9th was a little bit surprising, but he's starting to make it so I'm not much of a liar. He does have about 3 seconds to catch up to Bronson Stafford, though, who's currently riding in 6th. Here we go. Up at the front of the field, your race leaders have caught lap traffic. The 82 machine of John Cannizzaro Jr. here putting Vincent Valvano down 2 laps. Got around Robert Tripp, who is currently riding in 13th. So Robert Tripp is in the lucky dog position in the number 35, but here comes the number 99 of Philip Scott to his outside. It looks like Robert going to lay over and let these leaders on through. Knows that they're locked in a battle. And speaking of battle, looks like now Chuck Sweeting has joined this 3-car battle for 2nd officially. But let's go. Let's talk about points here just for a moment, because folks at home, you might not have the link. In fact, while we have this moment, I'm actually going to post the link to the point standings in the chat. If you want to look over the point standings at home, see where your favorite driver is in the point standings tally, well, you can do so. There you go. Just posted that there. Bronson Stafford, with his 2 wins at Daytona, is still our points leader. Chuck Sweeting, with his win last week, moves up into 2nd in points. Philip Scott is in 3rd. Quite a few markers on back, though. Philip Scott, of course, got that win at Pocono. He's 85 points behind Bronson Stafford. Jake Bustos is currently in 3rd, but Bustos has, I think, going out doing military things, and will be away for the next couple of weeks as we got this battle breaking out now for 3rd, as Chuck Sweeting going to try and get underneath him. We saw Chuck try to pass Tom Bourne there just after the restart, but going to duck back in behind. The Bronson Stafford points leader, like I mentioned, Chuck Sweeting in the number 75 here is in 2nd, 19 points back. Philip Scott 3rd, Jake Bustos 4th. Tom Bourne in the number 16 is in 5th in points. Then Mike Floppy Tellier, Jonathan Gaston, Matt Moyer, Bill Edwards, and Matt Rodriguez. So Matthew Rodriguez not inside the top 10 on the racetrack right now. In fact, Matthew Rodriguez not on the racetrack period right now, so not sure if having to take a provisional. Did take a provisional back at Pocono. Not in the field. But right now, that number 75, Chuck Sweeting, looks nice and fast. I've raced with Chuck many a time, and he is absolutely fantastic on the long run. And I think that's what you're starting to see here as we close in on stage break number 1. No caution flag. It's a rolling stage. But we do have the stage ending on lap number 50, so we'll keep our eyes on that. John Cannizzaro Jr. continuing to stretch out front. Not sure what Cannizzaro's got dialed in, but he's got something dialed in, because that number 82 is a hot rod. You see him disappearing off into the distance as second, third, and fourth starting to deal with lap traffic here. Maybe Chuck Sweeting could use one of these lappers to his advantage. Not able to do so just yet, as looks like the 16 gets to the inside of Bookwald, who is going to go one lap down. In fact, I think Bob Giaquinto is currently the first driver one lap down, if a caution flag were to come out. Cannizzaro has quite a ways to catch up to the next car in front of him. Looking out the nose, we've got a camera right on the nose of this number 82 machine as you get to see this racetrack. And really, folks, you can't really tell. It's really hard to see that difference in banking at this racetrack. I mean, even when you're right down here on the nose, almost on the ground, it's so subtle. But you can feel that transition right there. And you see him get a little bit with a little wiggle, a little bit loose up off the corner. And that might be what the number 82 is trying to do, is he might actually try and go down there to get to that uneven portion of the racetrack where the banking transitions, to maybe loosen up the car, change the way it's driving here off of turn number 4. Just kind of seeing that Cannizzaro's line is so straight up off the corner. He's trying to really straighten up that exit. And really what that means is get as low as you can right at the exit of the corner. So you're just driving with as little wheel in the car. It can really help save tires. And for right now, it looks like it's working. I was expecting Cannizzaro Jr. to kind of be tortoise in the hare type scenario. And maybe he's the hare that gets out front first. But he's backing that up with lap after lap after lap, clicking off fast ones out front right now by about 3 full seconds. Bronson Stafford wants to play in this battle for position as here comes Chuck Sweeting underneath. There's a little bit of rubbing racing off of turn number 2. Like Chuck's going to have to duck back in line, but Chuck now going to maybe try the high line. I think that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to try and maybe shove your nose on the high side if you can help it. Chuck really getting a good run up off the corner, but as I say, that back end kicks out a little bit and makes a kiss with the outside walls. Oh, Bronson Stafford, the Canadian driver, coming onto pit road here on lap number 45. This is interesting, folks. This is a little bit early. Maybe giving up on stage points here as well, as the stage comes out on lap number 50. And caution, not related to the stage caution, but we don't have stage cautions, but we've had an accident out there on the racetrack. Let's see what happened here. Canadian driver, a couple of the Canadians, and there's contact. The Timmy's machine just took out the 47 of Tellier. There was contact there. Well, I say took out. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's see if we can maybe dial up the 3-wide TV blimp cam for another look at this one. Love the 3-wide TV blimp cam, and I think Tellier thought the 96 was going to be a little bit higher up the racetrack. They made contact, and hopefully that's nothing too crazy. But that's interesting, because we did have one driver come down onto pit road, and that was Bronson Stafford. He's going to stay out here, and I don't think Stafford actually pitted, if my live telemetry is correct. Jonathan Gaston is also staying out here. Not sure why. Maybe trying to get the stage points? Maybe. Although maybe this will count as a stage call or the stage point. I don't know. I don't know how that works, honestly, if a caution flag comes out. This is when I'd love to have Garrett Gleason. I'd love to have Garrett Gleason on board to let us know how exactly this all works out. because I don't know if a caution flag means that stage points were already awarded or not. Jonathan Gaston coming down pit road, same thing with Bronson Stafford. So I really don't think that I don't know why they stayed out, but they did stay out. They stayed out an extra lap. Maybe they wanted a little bit extra fuel. I don't know. That's why I'm up here in the booth. Let's see if pace car lights are still on. So let's see if we can go out there. Let's see if we can get a word maybe with one of these drivers at home. Let's see if we can bring in Bill Edwards. I know Bill Edwards has always got fans in the chat. Bill Edwards, Picture Short 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
How's it going?
It's going, man. This racetrack, it's always tough. It's tough to pass here. But you got that number 5 machine now in the top 5. How about that? How's it driving out there?
Oh, it's not too bad. It seems racy, that's for sure. I don't know if I'm going to be as quick as Philip and some of these other guys and Chuck and that, but feels all right. It's going to be, as long as you make it to the end, you're going to be doing all right. I've had a couple close calls already.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of drivers out there have some close calls, so you're not the only one in that boat. But how is the transition there in the banking from the bottom side of the racetrack to the kind of the middle groove on up treating you guys here tonight?
The bottom side is almost undrivable. It just feels like it's super flat down there. So I'm kind of trying to hang with it a little bit in the middle and just been I was working on saving tires. You know, this didn't exactly help me out with my strategy of this yellow, but we'll see how the rest of it goes.
Well, Bill, I know you got fans in the chat, and the pace car lights are extinguished, so we'll let you get back to it. You were down there with Bronson and Floppy, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to your group, and a quick word with driver of the number 5 machine, Bill Edwards, there here tonight. So I know we always get Bill fans here on the channel, so, sometimes you got to appease the folks in the chat. Chandler Mazier as well in the chat saying hello, Chandler. Hopefully you're having a good night here on 3 Wide TV. Green flag about to come back up in the air. John Canizaro Jr. still our race leader. We'll be picking up those stage points as well. Philip Scott in second. Then back behind him, you saw Chuck Sweeting trying to get around the number 16. Well, he's on the high line now. That's the preferred line. What can Chuck do in that battle for third? Good restart for John Canizaro Jr. Chuck Sweeting going way up to the top side of the racetrack. Not sure if the race car got tight there. Cold tires might have caught him out. Didn't make contact with the wall, but definitely didn't look as sporty as I expected him to. Now able to dive it in deep into turn number 3. And I think he'll clear the 16 up off the corner. He does indeed. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, we highlighted that Bronson Stafford was on pit road. That caution came out at the wrong time for the 61. He is now buried deep in the field, down in 7th right now, as everyone scatters around Jason Schue. Ooh, Matt Moyer getting a little bit tight. Now, here comes Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian from Sarnia, Ontario, trying to, number 3 of Schue in the wall back there as well. But I was going to say Tellier trying to recover from that contact there on the front stretch. So far looking like that 47 still got pace in it. Might have kissed the wall again there on entry into turn 3. At least for right now, up at the front, Chuck Sweeting not able to stave off the number 16 for third. So Tom Borden stays in third. Chuck Sweeting stays in fourth. It seems like pretty much where we've been now for the last 30 laps or so. The only exception would be Bill Edwards in the top 5. Started in 9th, now up in 5th. And does a great job of keeping his race car clean, typically. That's usually how Bill Edwards finds himself slowly but surely creeping his way up through the field here on 3 Wide TV. Bill moved up in the points 3 positions after last week's race at Chicagoland. Of course, did not race at Daytona. But last week got that runner-up spot at Chicagoland, runner-up at Pocono. So coming in here tonight on a little bit of a hot streak, 6th and 8th in his only other 2 starts so far this season in the Total Nonstop Racing League. And of course, that 6th place finish coming at the nighttime shortened event at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. Let's highlight the driver right now running in 6th position. That's Jonathan Gaston Came down pit road a little bit late under this last caution, but that doesn't seem to be thwarting him at all. Just outside of the top 5. So far, so good for this fast race car driver. Not slow, fast race car driver. You know, race car drivers are usually fast. Well, right now, Jonathan Gaston is nice and fast, running in 6th position right back behind him. Another fast race car driver. That is Bronson Stafford in the Hugger Oranges Ford, trying to work his way back up into the top 5 after that little pit lane mishap. So, just going to check out and see if G is in the chat. Not sure where he's at. He might still be in that meeting. It's supposed to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And if you do the math, that was an hour and 44 minutes ago. So, G, I don't know where you're at, but your meetings take forever, buddy. I mean, I have some long meetings at my job, but I don't know. This one might take the cake. Out front, speaking of long, John Canizaro Jr.'s got a nice long lead over the number 99, at least right now, sitting at 0.6 of a second. I'd at least be happy with that lead. Tom Borden solidly in 3rd, Chuck Sweeting in 4th. I'm just kind of curious to know if we're going to see them kind of accordion back together like we did under that last green flag run. They kind of all spread out a little bit, and then at least 2nd through 5th all kind of got squished together at the back end of that run. I don't know. Go check out the chat. What do you guys think of this racetrack? Definitely one of the shorter ones on the calendar this year. In fact, let's go consult the calendar this year. Let's see what other short tracks we have in play as I look at the schedule here. That's correct. Next week we go to Knock Hill. We go from a short track to a road course as we got this battle brewing for 6th right now. Bronson Stafford looking underneath Jonathan Gaston. We got Knock Hill next week. 2 weeks ago we got 2 weeks from now. Did I say 1 week ago? I don't know. It's been a long day, folks. 1 week from now, we have Knock Hill. 2 weeks from now, Michigan. 3 weeks from now, Rockingham. Then Talladega, Kansas, Milwaukee Mile. Then we do have an off week. Gaston in the wall. He's going to give up that spot to Bronson Stafford just like that. And then after Milwaukee Mile, we have the last chance qualifier for the playoffs or chase. Then North Wilkesboro, which will be very similar to what we have here tonight in terms of its racing and kind of the racetrack shape and all that. Auto Club Speedway, Watkins Glen, Twin Ring Motegi, and Homestead, Miami. So some good racetracks left on the calendar this year. I love Twin Ring Motegi. I love the Glen. I love North Wilkesboro. I love Auto Club. Milwaukee Mile is one of my favorites. Who doesn't love Talladega? Rockingham's one of the best. That's, with this car, it's going to be a handful. Michigan's going to be a handful for these drivers. Knock Hill next week is really going to be a handful for these drivers. So I'm really looking forward to the road course at Knock Hill. That one is kind of a one that's not often on the calendar, as I can report Brandon Bookwald is on pit road. The number 96 might have engine damage from that contact with Mike Floppy Tellier. Not 100% sure, but Bookwald is behind the wall at least for now. As we're racing on lap number 68, we'll give out more stage points on lap number 100. We'll see the cross flags as well in just 32 laps from now. Working our way down the back stretch. Been kind of a quiet night, but at the same time, probably more eventful than the past couple of races here at TNR, so we've had a couple of cautions. Also starting to see that Philip Scott might be closing in just a little bit on our race leader. They're running all about the same lap times inside the top 5. 23.04 to 23.1, 23.11, 23.21, 23.20. So our top 5 drivers kind of all separated by about a tenth and a half on the speed charts. You can see their last lap time there scrolling by up at the top of the screen as well. Who are probably your folks doing the math at home on how many tenths of a second these drivers pick up or lose on one another in these last couple of laps. On board right now with Tom Bourne as he works his way past the flag man one more time. Like I said, it's going to be a bit of a long night, one of the longer races on the calendar. There aren't many races that are going to be longer than this, mainly just due to the fact that this racetrack is just not very fast. It's 133 miles here tonight, and 133 is the top speed that these cars are getting to. So they'd have to run at the top speed for an entire race if they were to do this race in an hour. That's how math works, Peter. And I mean, there's a lot of races like at Pocono when, I mean, they were going 170 miles an hour and they were doing 150 miles. So, you know, that one they kind of would do in an hour or so. This one just seems to be a little bit of a endurance race of sorts. You know, when you get into these longer races, you kind of have to settle in as a driver. You have to find your rhythm. And I think that's what John Cannizzaro has really settled in well here tonight. He settled in, found his rhythm, and just clicking off these laps. Nice and smoothly, not a scratch on the number 82 as Robert Tripp there going to let the leaders on by. Well, he's going to let the number 82 on by. Philip Scott seems like he's starting to find that same rhythm as he's been able to put about a second on Tom Bourne, and Tom has put about a second on Chuck Sweeting. So currently your top 4 drivers separated by just about 3 seconds. Second separating each one of them, or thereabouts, as Robert Tripp having some connection issues there on the screen, as Bronson Stafford also having some connection issues back there. But Bronson has run down Bill Edwards. This is a battle for 5th. Remember, Bronson lost his track position when he pitted at an inopportune time right there before our second caution flag came out as Edwards gets into the wall. Edwards still in the wall. Edwards in the wall again. That was a not good corner there, Bill. And just like that, going to open up the door for Bronson Stafford. Bill again flirting with the wall. And he will give up that position to Stafford, who moves up now into the top 5. Let's see if we can get a 3-wide TV replay of exactly what all went down there with Bill Edwards, because that was really unfortunate for the number 5 machine. Just really had to work to save that car in the corner. Did a good job of it. Let's get one more look at that on a 3-wide TV replay. There we go, folks. Right in front of Bronson Stafford, and just, pushed up into the wall. And Bronson did a great job of staying off of the number 5. That could have gotten worse in a hurry, but it did not. Let's go back live to see what's going on out there on the racetrack. Has Stafford been able to kind of leg it out a little bit on Edwards? Edwards going to have to regroup with that damage. Hopefully it's not affecting the pace or the handling of the number 5. But it very well might be. Meanwhile, Chuck Sweeting starting to run back down Tom Bourne. We've highlighted these two have been locked in a battle for position now for, well, pretty much the entire race. Pretty much the entire race since the drop of the green flag. See that right there. In fact, let's see if we can do something dumb. Those are always things. Those are always fun, right? Doing something dumb. Let's see if we can bring up the last 30 laps between these two drivers. Does that graphic even work? Hey, the graphic works! Holy smokes! I wasn't expecting the graphic to do that. But there you go. That's the last 30 laps between these two drivers. And as you can tell, it has... oh, wait, no, those are the wrong drivers. Those are the wrong drivers, Peter. Okay, let's bring up these two. There we go. That's the graphic I was looking for. As this is pretty much since the drop of the green flag, and you can kind of see that it did extend up to about a second. That's what those bigger yellow bars in the middle of the graph happen to say. But it has now worked its way back down to about 0.2 of a second. So it's yo-yoed out, and now it's yo-yoed back together. So here comes Chuck Sweeting, going to try and get that run. We saw him try a couple of times very diligently to try and get this position. But now I'm curious, folks. Can the graphic go up to 40 laps? Can the graphic go up to 40 laps? There you go, 40 laps. And then there you can see the full kind of yo-yo. I like that. I like that. What do you guys think at home? Does that... I don't know how useful this graphic is. I don't think I've ever gone to 40 laps. But it does tell a story that these two have not been but more than a second and a half apart over the last 40 laps or so. So that, they've been in a battle for half the race. As we'll go on board with Chuck Sweeting, who has to figure out a way on through. He's he's a very smart race car driver, is Chuck Sweeting. But he just has to figure out a way on pass. It's easier said than done. Does he back up the entry to the corner, try and get that run off? Oh, that might help as the 16's in the wall. The 16's in the wall again, just like what happened to the number 5 a couple laps ago of Bill Edwards. Tom Bourne with a little bit of an unforced error there, but able to hold on to the position. I'm sure that's not going to help Chuck because he's seeing a car in front of him make some mistakes, and that's just, he's going to be smelling blood in the water here as we close in on lap number 100. Again, remember, points will be handed out on lap number 100 to our top 8 drivers in the field. We won't have a caution. We stay green flag, rolling stage brakes here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series. Chuck is smelling that blood in the water right now, just not able to find a way on by. I highlighted earlier in the show how this is a difficult racetrack to pass at, just because it's so narrow. We heard from Bill Edwards under caution that that bottom groove, just there's no grip down there. It's pretty much undrivable, so you have to kind of drive the top side of the racetrack and the middle of the racetrack, but it's all going to take a strong run out of the corner, a really strong run up out of the corner, and then able to kind of push it down into the corner and see if it's going to stick. And for right now, Chuck Sweeting just doesn't have the racetrack or the race car to be able to do that. Bronson Stafford in the 61 back behind him is starting to close in on these not front two, but second and fourth. Back inside the top 5 and clicking off some good lap times. Here comes Chuck Sweeting. He's finally got underneath the number 16. Now this is where it's been difficult for Chuck, as he hasn't been able to get the run up off the corner when he's been underneath the number 16. He's being pinched down just a little bit. You see the back end getting a little bit sideways on the number 75, and this side-by-side racing is really going to bring the number 61 of Bronson Stafford into the mix in a hurry. Sweeting again looks underneath, but the 16, did he catch the wall a little bit? That might help Chuck Sweeting. Is that gonna be enough? No, not enough. Sweeting continues to try and get underneath. You see that back end of the car swinging out as he gets loose. Bronson Stafford now right there in the mix. He's gonna try and play with these two. It's 75 of Sweeting. Has he done it? Has he done enough? Has he driven off into the corner? Can he get the power down? Surely he's done enough. He has indeed. Now Chuck Sweeting up into third. Tom Bourne now is going to have to fend off a hard-charging 61 machine of Bronson Stafford, who is our points leader here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series, and he's going to make it look pretty easy here. Wow, Chuck Sweeting fought with the number 16 for so long, and Bronson Stafford did it in about a whole lap. Looks like the number 5 of Bill Edwards has come down pit road. Here on lap number 92, we heard his strategy was to try and save tire a little while ago. I can't help but think that damage on the right-hand side of that car has put him maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage. So Bill's going to get fresh tires. Here comes Tom Bourne, the number 16. He's had enough of his tires. Again, a little bit early to be coming down pit road, but we have seen how difficult it is to pass. It has been very difficult to pass, and maybe that's what these drivers are thinking about, trying to do a little bit of an undercut to get out in front and maybe try and lead from the front. Might have a tire disadvantage, but if you can't pass, it doesn't matter if you have a tire disadvantage if no one can pass you. As Chuck Sweeting now able to start to hit his mark, starting to pull away maybe a little bit from Bronson Stafford in the number 61. Pretty comparable times. These two are closing in on our front two by about 0.2 of a second per lap, but as you can tell, we're coming up on the next round of green flag pit stops, and of course the stage points here in about 6 laps from now. Race leaders also dealing with some lap traffic. I think they just got around Bob Giaquinto. Bob, I think, was our lucky dog under that last caution flag. So the Team Banana Racing number 23 tabletop trio on the hood is currently in our lucky dog spot. Needs another lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. And a lot of damage on that number 23 after going up and under one of the other race cars earlier in the race, the number 64, Vincent Valvano. Unfortunately, Valvano pulled off the racetrack and has yet to return. The number 64's night done maybe a little bit early here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Big wiggle there out of Bob Giaquinto. But Chuck Sweeting and Bronson Stafford still closing in on our race leaders. In fact, last time by, Chuck Sweeting, get this, folks, 0.4 of a second faster than John Cannizzaro Jr. That is pretty significant. Let's see if we can bring up this graphic. Well, it's not due the last 40 laps. Let's do the last 10 laps. But John Cannizzaro Jr. on lap number 88 had a 3.7 second advantage over Chuck Sweeting. That is now down to 2.3 seconds. Meanwhile, John Cannizzaro Jr. up there at the front. Let's see if his gap, let's see what the gap to Philip Scott looks like, because that has gone from about 0.8 of a second down to 0.3 of a second. Things really heating up, and we give out stage points here in 2 laps. So if Philip Scott can get to the number 82, maybe can run him up the racetrack. I don't know. Those two have raced each other hard many a times here on 3-Wide TV. But at least for right now, Cannizzaro Jr. looking to go back-to-back for the Stage 1 and Stage 2 wins. He, so far this season here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, well, you don't see him up there in the point standing. I'll just say that much, because I only think he's made 1 start this season, and that was, that was at Pocono. So, as you can see in the back of your screen, Philip Scott, Bronson Stafford coming down pit road. So, interestingly enough, I think they give up the stage points at the end of lap number 100. So, that's a bit surprising. I think that will elevate Chuck Sweeting to second there right at the end of the stage. So, that's very surprising in my book. Cannizzaro Jr. and Sweeting continuing to now try and do the overcut, which is when you stay out there on the racetrack longer than the other people. Try and pick up positions that way. Here comes Cannizzaro. Cannizzaro now coming down pit road. So that will hand the race lead over to Chuck Sweeting in the number 75. Working lap number 102 here. Now coming around to complete 102. So Chuck Sweeting, race leader. Mike Tellier in second now. Jonathan Gaston, Jason Schue, Bob Giaquinto, the drivers who have yet to come down and make their second pit stop of the race. Chuck continuing to soldier on here. Bit surprised by this, but we've highlighted the fact that Chuck was saving his tires and he was fast there at the end of that last run. Just kind of comparing lap times, Chuck Sweeting last time by ran a 23.6. Tom Bourne, who's the first driver out there on fresh tires, ran a 22.9. About 0.7 of a second that Chuck Sweeting is bleeding here in comparison to the number 16 of Tom Bourne behind him. And you can see Tom Bourne is starting to close in. Tom Bourne going to try and come around and unlap himself with those fresh tires. Now Chuck Sweeting is going to dive off onto pit road to make that green flag pit stops. And folks, we've only had 2 caution flags here tonight, and green flag pit stops coming out on a short track. You don't often see it in the iRacing.com Motorsports Simulator, but you see it here in the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series because these drivers are flat out good. Here is your race leader, though. Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian driver, out front. A couple of Canadians in the field here tonight. That number 61 is one of those. I've been in so many leagues where Mike is the only Canadian. Well, here in TNR, that's not the case, as Chuck Sweeting going to lose a lot of track position in that number 71 machine. But he's got fresh tires, so we'll see what he's able to do with it, as he had a respectable pit lane time. Just looking up and down pit lane times, Philip Scott fastest on pit road in the number 99, 41.05 pit lane time, compared to that Chuck Sweeting's 41.45. So Philip Scott definitely in and out of his pit box nice and neatly. That's why he is actually, one of the reasons why he's leapfrogged some of these drivers. But as Tellier continues to click off these laps, he is still your race leader out front, maybe waiting to see if a caution flag comes out. Bob Giaquinto comes down onto pit road, all but leaving. One driver left, that being Tellier. Nice to see a couple of different strategies in play here. You don't often get that on the short track. For everyone's count back at home, the number 16 here of Bourne pitted on lap number 92. Philip Scott pitted on lap 100. Bill Edwards pitted on lap number 91. Bronson Stafford 101. John Canizaro Jr. pitted on 102. And then Chuck Sweeting pitted on lap number 105. So things going to get kind of shaken up here as Chuck Sweeting here looks like he's going to go by Mike Floppy Tellier. Tellier finally completing our round of pit stops. Coming just after halfway, lap number 110. That's going to allow Tellier to push later in the race, maybe get a lucky caution at some point. But unfortunately for Tellier, just kind of thinking about it, this might put him a lap down because he's waited so long. He's going to have the freshest tires in the field, so he might be able to unlap himself. But this might temporarily put him one lap down. So if a caution flag were to come out, might put him at a little bit of a disadvantage on that end. Meanwhile, here's a battle for position. John Canizaro Jr. and Bronson Stafford. Bronson pitted one lap before Canizaro Jr., and that's what made the difference. That allowed Bronson Stafford to close in considerably on the number 82. Maybe a little bit much, even, on Canizaro Jr. I'm kind of liking Philip Scott's strategy, honestly. Philip did the undercut on Canizaro Jr. and was able to get out front, pitted on lap number 100. I like to pit on round numbers, honestly, personally. But Philip Scott did give up those stage points, a couple of stage points, so I don't know if it's all going to work out in the end. Philip, of course, wanting to win on an oval for the first time. Philip also trying to close in on the number 16. We saw how difficult the number 16 of Tom Borden made it for Chuck Sweeting to get around him for lap after lap after lap after lap. Now he's going to have to do the same with Philip Scott, who has 8 lap fresher tires on his Dodge. See Philip getting underneath them, back in coming out on the Intrepid. So he's going to have to duck back in line here temporarily. But a really good job by Tom Borden to kind of lead from the front. Meanwhile, side-by-side action back behind him, I think. Yep. Oh, wow. Oof. Connection issues there for Bronson Stafford and Bill Edwards, and Bronson almost got into it, maybe in part due to those connection issues. But for right now, it is the 16, the 99, the 82, the 61, and the 5, our top 5 drivers, as Chuck Sweeting is trying to close in with his fresh tires. He's got about 6 seconds for all the folks at home wondering to Tom Borden, who is our race leader right now. So we'll see whether or not Chuck's late pit stop gamble pays off as this run goes on. You'd have to think, though, that as the number 16 of Tom Borden is able to hold up these front runners, that will continue to help drivers like Chuck Sweeting, because the field will have to accordion back together. In fact, Canizaro Jr. is starting to close in now quite a bit on this front battle. Last time by, Canizaro Jr. running quite a bit faster as Philip Scott sends it down the inside. Tom Borden uses that middle groove to kind of cut off any momentum the 99 might have. Brave move there by the 16. You've just heard how difficult it is to run that bottom side of the racetrack, and Philip Scott just not finding any grip down there. Here comes Philip again, going to send it down to the inside of the racetrack, pushes up, there's contact, there's a little bit of a nudge. Like I said, Tom Borden, I said, was brave that last time. Well, he just got a little bit of a love tap. He's going to use that middle groove. This is hard racing. You see Canizaro Jr., that red machine, who's led the most laps here tonight, continuing to close in. Bronson Stafford another couple of seconds back. Chuck Sweeting now down to about 4.5 seconds behind the race lead. Down there in the 5th position. So our top 5 really starting to accordion together as Philip Scott's really having to use those tires to try and get past the number 16. We saw this. We saw Chuck Sweeting, who was patient with the number 16 for a long period of time, and then was really, saving his tires. Here comes the number 82 to the outside. Canizaro Jr. trying to make a move to the high side of Philip Scott. Slightly fresher tires for Canizaro Jr. That number 82 will have that little bit of an advantage and have that kind of preferred higher groove. This might work against Philip Scott. Maybe Scott a little bit too aggressive. There's contact. There's contact. Philip Scott down into the inside grass and into the inside wall. That will not bring out the caution. He will have to reverse onto the racing surface. Will that bring out the yellow? It will not bring out the still no yellow. Still no yellow. He spins it around here on the backstretch. Now the caution flag comes out. And Philip Scott going to lose a couple of positions here. Let's see what happened here to bring out caution flag number 3. It's going to take a minute to dial up this 3-wide TV replay here, folks. But that was definitely some hard racing. Let's see what happened. We're going to put this one on 3-wide TV slow-mo. He starts to come up the racetrack. Still coming up the racetrack. You see the 82 was maybe a little bit lower on the racetrack than the 16 was. And that caught out Philip Scott, made a little bit of contact, and hard into the inside wall, but that brings out the caution flag. As we're back live, looks Philip Scott going to be one unhappy camper. And his number 99 was looking also good there. Just maybe a little bit of impatience or frustration there. I'm not exactly sure which, but it was a tough battle. But that's going to sort things out. I don't think we're in the window where we can make it the rest of the race on fuel. Surely not. And we might get some takers on pit road. We might get some non-takers on pit road. Chuck Sweden came down pit road, but fuel only on the number 75. Interesting call there. Tom Bourne came down, took tires. Bill Edwards came down and took tires on the number 5. They do have 3 sets of tires. They took the first set around lap number 50. Second set of tires went on the car on lap number 100. Third set of tires for some of these drivers actually just went on the car. I think Tom Bourne just took on his final set of tires. I think Bill Edwards just took his final set of tires. Same with Jason Schue, Mike Floppy Tellier. So they might have to go. They might have to go the final 75 or so laps on tires. That seems tricky to do here. 75 of Chuck Sweeting took on fuel only. Not 100% sure why he came down pit road to take on fuel only. Interesting call. Maybe doesn't have to take on as much fuel at the end. Usually you're limited on pit road by the time it takes to change tires. So not sure exactly what that would buy Chuck unless he's thinking he's close on fuel. But I don't know. I feel like if you came down pit road, you wanted to take on tires. Because if you're thinking you can go the rest of the way on fuel, then you need fresh tires for the rest of the race. But then on the flip side of that, if you don't come down pit road, then you save another. I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting call. Of course, Chuck pitted around lap number 110, I think. So his tires are not that old. Tom Bourne coming down pit road, maybe to top off with fuel here under this caution. Now maybe they are close on fuel. I think we saw Mike Floppy Tellier go 65 or so laps. I think it'd definitely take a lot of saving to make it from here, at least some saving to make it from here. But this is an interesting call because for Tom Bourne to come down pit road means he has to think he's close. It does just take fuel only. That could make things exciting here for the finish if we have a fuel mileage race. We did just go about 70 or so green flag laps. Hopefully we can make it another 70 or so green flag laps to make it to the end of tonight's race here on 3-Wide TV. Garrett Gleason still says he's in a meeting. At least he was still in a meeting as of about 20 minutes ago. So we'll see whether or not Garrett ever gets out of that meeting. I don't know. Maybe he's fired. Maybe we'll fire him from 3-Wide TV. I don't know. But green flag is back in the air as John Canizaro Jr. is our race leader. Philip Scott in second after that little spin around. He's already back up to the second spot. Bronson Stafford in third. Bill Edwards in fourth. And then Chuck Sweeting in fifth. Interesting here for Chuck Sweeting, though, was that he was already about fifth position. Just took on fuel. Of course, fuel does change the weight distribution of these cars, so maybe he thought that maybe a little bit extra fuel would help with the handling of the race car. He's a smart race car driver. I'm not going to question his strategy all too much because he does think through these things. But he does have fresher tires than all of the drivers in front of him as well, so something to be mindful of. Let's see if we can, where can we find that pit stop graphic? We had a pit strategy graphic. Yeah, there we go. You can see, well, that graphic works really well, folks. Let's see if we can bring up this graphic. Well, that graphic works just as well as the last one. And that graphic looks pretty bad. So I'm guessing something recently broke that graphic. I apologize for that, folks. They can't always work, unfortunately, as much as we'd like them to. Let's go check out the 3Y TV chat, see what everyone is saying. RC Plane saying, ooh, fancy graphic. I think that's when I brought up the 40 laps, the 40 lap graphic. Cameron Rich in the chat saying, Chuck Sweeting is still racing. That's awesome. And is that Mike Tellier? Cam, it is Mike Floppy Tellier. And Cam Rich saying, I think I know this commentator. Well, you do, Cam. But yeah, Chuck Sweeting is still racing. Cam and I were teammates in the league where we used to race against Chuck Sweeting back in the day, 3-Wide Racing League. In fact, I hear that 3-Wide Racing might actually have a little bit of a reboot. Might be the time to dust off my steering wheel. It's been a good number of years since I was last racing on iRacing.com Simulator full-time in any way, shape, or form. In fact, last time I raced on iRacing full-time in a league was right here at Total Nonstop Racing League. So this is a great league to be a part of. If you have not raced here in TNR and you've thought about racing here at TNR, well, it's a great league to be a part of. Lots of green flag action here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park racetrack, where it's difficult to get green flag racing, but these drivers have done it. We've had green flag pit stops here tonight, and we've had some good racing throughout the field, although it is proving very difficult to pass. Bill Edwards right now did come down, take on a set of tires under that last pit sequence. He is all over the back bumper of John Cannizzaro Jr. Drops to the inside of the racetrack, looks underneath him, nothing doing just yet. Fourth, the number 5 machine of Edwards, who appears like he's got some of that right side damage knocked out. Maybe that will help with the pace of that Toyota Camry, as not able to do it this time. Definitely all over the back bumper. As Cannizzaro might have got a little bit of a nudge. You saw those hands go to work there on the number 82 Dodge. Now he cuts back underneath, tries to give a little bit of a block to the number 5 of Edwards, but Edwards drives it way deep into the corner. Can he do kind of the over-under here on the 82? Not able to do so. Cannizzaro is absolutely covering in that Dodge Charger out front right now as we work lap number 137. I believe we're now solidly inside the window to make it the rest of the race. On fuel here, we'll just have to wait and see whether or not any of these drivers can save it. One driver I'm interested in is Tom Bourne. Kind of flip over to Tom Bourne. Oh, contact! The 82, John Cannizzaro, is around right up at the front of the field, and that is going to bring out caution flag as Cannizzaro Jr. goes around, does a 360, going to lose a bunch of track position. Let's see if we could see if there was any contact between the front two. Going off into the corner. Yep, right there. There was definite contact. The number 5 just getting underneath the number 82, spinning him right around as they battle for the lead. We'll get one more look at that one from the 3-Wide TV blimp cam, folks. And we'll see this contact right there. It did not take a whole lot, just a nudge, and Cannizzaro does a spin. Good job by the whole field to avoid him, and actually, honestly, a good job there by Cannizzaro Jr. to not get collected. I'm sure he'll be a little bit spicy underneath the hood. Now, this is the interesting thing. What Bill Edwards just did is he just screwed himself. He just ruined his race because he was on fresh tires. He has no fresh set of tires. Everyone else just came down pit road. This time, got a set of tires. Same thing with Tom Bourne, who had no sets of tires left. So by bringing out the caution, Bill Edwards force the rest of the field to come down and use a set of tires. And now the advantage is no longer with the number 5 car. So that's unfortunate for Bill Edwards. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself for that one at the end of the night. Flashfire official in the chat saying, come on, Canizaro. And then the dump and run. Yep, the dump and run indeed. Flashfire official, how are you here tonight? Thanks for tuning in to 3 Wide TV. Appreciate you dropping on by. Canizaro Jr. with a lot of work left to do. He's going to have to come from 7th. He's led the most laps here tonight. By far, dominating the opening 100 laps of the race, but a little bit of a pit sequence got things all shuffled up, and a caution or two now as we work caution flag number 4 tonight. Just now joining us, we had the first caution inside the first 5 laps. It broke a 3-race green flag run, which was mighty impressive. But unfortunately, that green flag streak has ended here tonight in fine fashion. 4 caution flags, and we still have about 60 laps to go here at the 2/3 of a mile racetrack, Lucas Oil Raceway Park, the lesser known racetrack in Indianapolis. Still puts on a good show, though, every time we come here. Bill Edwards and Tom Bourne will be our front 2 for this upcoming restart. Looks like, not sure if pace car lights have turned off. No, they haven't. I think they're going to turn off this time. Otherwise, if they don't turn off, I'll get a quick word maybe with one of these drivers. Let's see. The pace car lights turn off. Yes, they did. It's like Matt Muir getting the wave around. Hasn't been a good night for Matt Muir in the number 77. As currently being scored on the scoring pylon. A couple of laps down. Not exactly 100% sure. Bob Giaquinto, through one way or another, back on the lead lap. I think he got the lucky dog maybe 2 cautions ago. But either way, top 10 currently in store for the number 23. Definitely a lot of right side damage. Remember, he was involved in that accident there just before lap number 50 earlier in the show. Able to keep that machine running, though. Race leader Bill Edwards, though, has the control of the race on the outside groove. Meanwhile, fresher tires back behind him. Here goes Bronson Stafford, our Daytona winner. He's going to try and get his 3rd win on the season here tonight as they put the 16 machine 3 wide on the short track. Holy smokes, folks. These drivers duking it out. Now Bronson Stafford able to get by Tom Bourne, going to set his sights on the number 5 of Bill Edwards. Remember, Edwards on older tires, pitted on lap number 120 or so. So about 10 lap fresher tires for Bronson Stafford. Is Bronson going to look here for the race lead in a hurry? And Tom Bourne starting to fight back in the number 16. The 61, though, maybe has an edge as we come to the start-finish line. Does indeed. Oh, Edwards in the outside wall. That's going to be problematic for Edwards. He might lose a couple of positions here as look who just got to his back bumper. That is the number 82 of John Canizaro Jr. The 5 just turned around the 82 a couple laps ago as Philip Scott now gets involved, and now looks like Canizaro Jr. is putting the number 5 around it. Oh, the 23 up the wall. Holy smokes. Contact bringing out the caution here again. It looked like it got initiated, I believe, when the number 99 slid up the racetrack. Let's see if we can slow this one down on 3 Wide TV. See the number 99, he's loose on entry into the corner. Maybe just pushed it in a little bit too deep, starts sliding up the racetrack, and wow. He was actually able to kind of keep it going, and it's Bill Edwards now that goes around off the nose of off of John Canizaro Jr.'s nose. And then something happened in the back with Jason Schue. Let's see what happened to Jason. Oh, Jason had a separate incident. Kind of locked it up, and maybe that might have actually been what brought out the caution flag. Not sure. Let's see if we can get a look on board here with... this is on board with number 5 of Edwards. You see the number 99 there. He's trying to whoa up to stay off the back of the number 99 and goes around. No real contact. In fact, really, I think the big loser in this whole mix, will go on board with them right here, is Bob. Formerly up here alongside me in the booth. Good job there by Chuck Sweeting to avoid that. Oh man, just kind of got caught late, and nothing really Bob could have done there. Let's see if we can go on board. Let's go on board with Chuck Sweeting in that accident. Gonna take me a minute. Sorry, folks. There we go. That's Chuck Sweeting right there. As he sees this all play out in front of him, he's like, oh, whoop, 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 whoop. Good job there, able to avoid that one. I also kind of want to just go on board with maybe just John Canizaro Jr. real fast and see what he saw in all this miss, because he might not have seen the number 99. I think he saw the number 99. He might have just said, you know what, that's a little bit of payback from the number 5 machine, because it was the number 5, remember, that sent Canizaro around, so they're 1-1 on the night. But caution flag number 5 in the air here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Let's see if we can get a quick word with the Canadian number 60. Well, you know what? I'm not going to bother with the number 61 of Bronson Stafford. He's been having connection issues all night long. I don't want to be the reason why he falls out in the server. Tom Bourne, Philip Scott. Interesting to say, Philip Scott now kind of on the same tire sequence as Bronson Stafford and Tom Bourne. Philip will be on the inside for this upcoming restart, though. That might work to his disadvantage. Chuck Sweeting will be on his outside. Could be an interesting restart coming up here, folks. If that last restart has anything to say, this next restart might very well be as chaotic as that last one. Garrett Gleason saying, headed home. Garrett, hopefully you can get home, maybe jump up here in the booth for the final 10 laps or so here tonight. Flashfire official saying, hoping Canizaro can make his way back. Was going good till my guy got wrecked. I have faith in him, though. I think we'll see some more of John Canizaro Jr. before the night's out. We call him the wild child because, tell you what, John Canizaro Jr. doesn't back down from a fight, and this might be a little bit of a slugfest here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park for the closing 50 laps. As the pace car comes down, it'll be a 49-lap shootout here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Race leader Bronson Stafford has, interestingly enough, chosen the inside line for this upcoming restart. I think it's the first time here tonight that we've seen a driver choose the inside line, but he does have fresher tires than Tom Bourne. But he disappears right before the green flag waves. That it's going to be a little bit of an interesting one. Tom Bourne with a good restart to the outside. They all fan out towards turn number 1 and 2. Chuck Sweeting is in a little bit of a world of hurt here as John Canizaro Jr. able to pull to the long side, and Chuck Sweeting drops back into 5th. Canizaro back up into 4th. I said he isn't going to back down from a fight. That number 82 will have his eyes set on the 3 in front of him. You know that he's going to be like a raging bull. He's got the ram horns on the front of the number 82. Maybe he's a raging ram. You say a raging bull, but is there such thing as a raging ram? Either way, it's alliteration. A red raging ram. How many R words can I string together? I think I'll leave it at 3, folks. As up front, Bronson Stafford, our Daytona winner, trying to pick up his 3rd win on the season. He is our points leader entering into tonight. Been a little bit quiet the last couple of weeks, but quiet has been a good thing. Been clicking off some strong finishes and having connection issues. That might be working to his advantage, though, as he's got some hard chargers back behind him. A couple of Ford Fusions out front as well. Philip Scott in 3rd. John Canizaro Jr. in 4th. I'm going to 45 laps to go this time. Go on board with Philip Scott. Remember, Philip Scott's the one that got loose and eventually brought out that last caution when a couple of drivers behind him checked up. Feel for Philip Scott. He's been trying for what feels like the final or the last 30-40 laps to get around the 16 of the 16 of Tom Bourne. Excuse me. Just nothing doing. Not been able to get around that number 16. Now going to look underneath him. Got to give it to Bronson Stafford. Made that move for the race lead under the last restart, or 2 restarts ago now. It has not looked back. Fresher tires in the 16. I'm sure he's very happy that Tom Bourne behind him kind of can act as a little bit of a barrier, and maybe that 61 can scoot away. We've seen good pace out of the 61, even on the long run. He just hasn't had the track position here tonight. Now he does. And we saw him at one point closing in on the race leader by about 3 to 4 tenths of a second per lap. Same thing with Chuck Sweeting. So we know the 61 has pace, and now track position to boot. So that could be a dangerous combination for the rest of the field as they work their way out of turn number 4 here. Oh, contact! Contact! We go away at the wrong time. Chuck Sweeting involved as well. I think Philip Scott just turned the number 16 machine. We were riding on board with him right there and just clicked the wrong button at the wrong time. That's a tough break for a couple of these drivers. Here we go. Let's get another look at this from outside. As, yeah, just a little nudge there by the number 99 machine. And, Cannizzaro getting a piece of it. Chuck Sweeting getting a piece of it as well. Chuck going to drop back. Tom Bourne going to drop back as well. That's a tough break for those two drivers. Let's see if we can get one more look at this one from a slightly different angle. And there's that nudge. Just kind of turns him around and nowhere for the 82 to go. And really nowhere for Chuck Sweeting to go. Tough break for Chuck. One more look of this one. This might show you that little bit of contact right there. Just as we clicked away from that shot. And yeah, oh man, nothing Chuck could have done. That 16 going down the racetrack in a hurry. Been there, done that myself. You're trying to get away from the accident, and the accident comes to you. So we're going to see drivers on pit road. Bronson Stafford is our race leader. Philip Scott, who just turned around the number 5. Looks like he's going to be in second here. John Cannizzaro Jr. in third. Chuck Sweeting on pit road. He's coming down to get some of that damage repaired. I want to give a big shout out to Chuck Sweeting. He didn't, I don't think he officially had a sponsor for tonight's race, but he could have sponsored tonight's race had he wanted to. Just making sure he didn't sponsor tonight's race. I didn't see any discussion of that, but he did pay the sponsorship money. So I want to give a big shout out to Chuck for helping out TNR. And he's on pit road right now. Wrong place, wrong time. Going to have to get rolling here in a hurry so he doesn't fall one lap down to the field, but going to give up a lot of track position here. Bronson Stafford, our race leader. Philip Scott, second. John Cannizzaro Jr. Mike Floppy Tellier, who avoided that accident. He's there in fourth. Jonathan Gaston in fifth. Bill Edwards, Jason Schue, who's backing up his top 5 qualifying run here with a top 7 run. Tom Bourne in 8th. Came down and... Well, I thought he came down pit road. Guessing he didn't come down pit road. Bob Giaquinto just lost the spot to Matt Muir. With all these caution flags, Matt Muir has been able to get himself back on the lead lap. I'm sure Matt is a big fan of that. In the number 77. Running those, I think those are almost the Kevin Harvick Incorporated numbers on that 77. If not, they're close. They're definitely pretty close to what Kevin Harvick Incorporated used to run back in the day with several different drivers. Kind of gives me the Kevin Harvick Incorporated vibes because the Chevy Monte Carlo body that you see right here was back when Kevin Harvick Incorporated was still a thing. You can almost see that 77 and Bernie Lamar in a Dollar General machine. Bernie Lamar, a name you'll forget after this race. Bronson Stafford in that number 61 will be leading us to the green flag. We're going to have 37 laps to go when we go back green. It is going to be a bunch of hard chargers on this restart. Green flag waving. Tellier, Bronson Stafford with some late wheel spin. Just clips the outside wall. That's going to allow Philip Scott to pull side by side. Meanwhile, we're 3 wide, a little bit further back in the pack. Tom Bourne going up the middle as the number 7, Bill Edwards on the high side. We sort things out back to 2x2, but we're 2x2 for the race lead. Then 2x2 for second as Cannizzaro Jr. and Mike Floppy Tellier go toe-to-toe with one another as well. Tom Bourne puts it in the outside wall on entry into turn number 1. This is the most action we've seen all night long. Philip Scott wants that first win on an oval, but Bronson Stafford trying to go for win number 3 as your points leader. Cannizzaro Jr. getting loose there off of turn number 2. Philip Scott going to make the pass. Contact! Philip Scott going around in the front of the field, and there's contact. Everyone going to scatter everywhere. There's a parking lot in turn number 3. Looks like Chuck Sweeting involved again. Bronson Stafford, our points leader, going to lose a ton of track position. Philip Scott going to lose a ton of track position. Wow. My, oh my. We saw this just a moment ago. Philip Scott turning someone around. Now Philip slides up the racetrack. Now the 61 of Bronson Stafford turns him around, and Tellier somehow splits up the middle. Looks like Chuck Sweeting went around maybe off the front end of the number 77. Going to lose more track position back there. Let's see if we can get another look of maybe what happened in the back of the pack. See what happened back here. 77 of Sweeting. He slows up and, yep. Weir doesn't quite check up enough, and they play a little bit of bumper cars back there. Let's see if we can get the 3-wide TV blimp cam maybe queued up for Philip Scott. Now, Philip was able to get rolling relatively quickly, faster than Bronson Stafford. But the back half of this race, folks, a lot different from the opening half of this race. Yep, Philip, quite a bit of front end damage from that one. Look at the number 3 machine of Jason Schue. Let's see if we can get maybe an onboard with Jason Schue, because he mowed the grass here. Here we go, onboard. Jason Schue will see the contact out front, right at the head of the field. Jason gets on the brakes. He gets on the brakes. He gets on the brakes, and right down into the grass. That was honestly the only way through that one. Good job there by Jason. They call it the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series. Well, Jason Schue just mowed the lawn right there. So good job sticking up to your moniker. And in that chaos, we have a new race leader for the first time here tonight. Mike Tellier is our race leader. We've seen Mike win on short tracks before. We saw him win in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. A big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, one of the supporters here on 3Y TV, as well as Danae Jewelers and Talking Giants, other series sponsors here. But we saw Mike win at Bristol once upon a time. This racetrack and Bristol very different from one another, but short tracks nonetheless. Bob Giaquinto on pit road, maybe getting some damage repaired in the number 23 tabletop trio Dodge Intrepid. Hopefully not calling it a night. On the lead lap, must be getting some of that damage repaired. We saw him early in the race go up and under the number 64 Vincent Valvano. Vinny has not returned to the racetrack. Although at this rate, with the way caution's coming out, might be able to get himself back on the lead lap. Who knows? I don't think so, folks. He's 130 odd laps down. Hopefully we don't have another 130 caution flags before the end of tonight. I don't think we'll have a field left if that's the case. Now here's your race leader for this upcoming restart. Tom Bourne will be rolling off in second. John Canizaro Jr. And look at Bill Edwards. He's back up into fourth position for this upcoming restart. Man, this race has gotten wonky in a hurry, as really the field has almost been turned on its head. We've seen, at least more than once, we've seen Canizaro been involved in an accident. We've seen Edwards be involved in an accident. I think Edwards and Tom Bourne have older tires than some of these drivers they're racing with, but with these caution flags, maybe the pit sequence kind of balancing out. I don't know. Some heat cycles in the tires. Let's wait and find out. Green flag back in the air. Tellier out front. Tom Bourne in second. But Bourne did not get a good restart. Tellier out to a big lead. That's really going to help. But meanwhile, back behind him, look at this. 3 wide again on 3 wide TV. On the short track, Matt Weir up top. Bronson Stafford in the middle. And they go back to double file here in a hurry. Not sure if the 99 of Philip Scott's got damage, but he seems to be off the pace here. Really off the pace, actually, in that number 99. Just doesn't seem like any horsepower. I can only think that that's maybe some of the damage he's got on that race car. We'll find out. Could just be that bottom groove is just really not racy. Meanwhile, out front, Tellier in the 47. Well out front. Oh, look at this group. I'm sure Tellier's absolutely ecstatic as a couple of drivers pancaked the wall. They were up off the corner. I think that was Matt Weir in the number 77. He's going to have the number 75 of Chuck Sweeting fill that inside void. They're going to try and use the number 3 machine of Jason Schue as a pick. Looks like that's going to work out for Chuck Sweeting and Bronson Stafford. As they go 3 wide again. More contact as, Schue gets used up. Coming out of turn number 4, slide him back to 10th. Phillips got up to 9th. Can you tell the lap count is down to almost 25 laps to go, folks? I surely can, because these drivers racing harder than they have all night long. Here's John Cannizzaro Jr. He's going to try and dispatch the number 16 of Tom Bourne, who has been the moving chicane ever since the a couple of cautions ago now. Just no one been able to get past the number 16. He's been very, very good at kind of just being the rolling roadblock, as John Cannizzaro Jr. might be using the right side of the Dodge Charger to try and assert his position in second. Oh, there's more contact. Now the 16 goes around and more contact. Bronson Stafford involved, and we're stacking them up again. Edwards able to come out of the mess in second, and yeah, there's the parking lot in turn 2. Oh boy, it's wow. I don't know what to say. That's actually a couple of cautions ago. Sorry about that, folks. That's the wrong caution. Holy smokes, there we go. This is the right caution. On board here with Cannizzaro Jr. as they go up the racetrack, and yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to call. And then, yep, parking lot. Absolute parking lot. Matt Moyer splitting up the middle. Chuck Sweeten's around again. Bronson Stafford's around again. Let's see if we can go on board with Matt Moyer. Let's see if we can go on board with Matt Moyer for this one, because this is going to be a fun one. You can see that up front, there's the initial contact. And then Moyer just gets on his brakes, and oh man, right there, everyone comes down. Look at Bill Edwards slicing his way through. Holy cow. Some of these drivers are going to have headaches. I think I have a headache here on 3 Wide TV after all this. Let's see if we can get one more look of the initial contact. Put this one in 3 Wide TV slow-mo. The 82's washing up the racetrack. I think the 16 starts to come down the racetrack. And, yep, there's that contact. And the 82 just goes around. Now, the 82 gets up into the wall, and Bill Edwards gets a good chunk of it, but he's able to kind of keep it relatively pointing in the right direction. Wild here on 3 Wide TV. You're looking out back of Mike Tellier at the front nose of the number 5 of Bill Edwards. Edwards bitted on lap number 147 for fuel only. But I don't think Edwards is going to do anything here, as we have 22 laps to go. If you have damage at this point, folks, you got to go for it. Robert Tripp going to be our lucky dog under this caution, unless he had he might have actually been involved in that accident, as was most of the field. Chuck Sweeting looks like he's calling it a night in the number 75 machine. Tough break for Chuck after being involved in a couple of caution flags. Just seems like all of a sudden the action ramps up, heat ramps up, and these drivers, they just know how difficult it is to pass here. It is a difficult racetrack to pass at, and because of that, you don't get given any room here. I don't think you get given an inch, and that's what we've been seeing here since about lap number 125, I'd say. We're on caution number 8 now. Wow, they add up in a hurry. I think caution flag number 4 came out. Number 3 came out, I think, around lap number 125, 130. We did have green flag pit stops tonight. Remember that. We did have green flag pit stops. Garrett Gleason, are you here? I guess Garrett Gleason is not here. Thought Garrett might have been here. He was here. Oh, there he is. Hey there, Garrett.
I made it. What have I missed, brother?
Well, you just missed the 8th caution, but we're about to go back green flags. So we got 19 lap shootout here and 8 caution flags tonight. It's been Rubbins racing, but Garrett, it's action time here at ORP.
Well, here we go. Mike spins the tires into the outside wall. No surprise to see Floppy doing a good job here at ORP. This is one of his favorite places, and I think he's a guy that pushed for this track on the schedule, Peter. But looks like these guys are pretty racy, and they're moving each other out of the way if they have to.
Yeah, would you say that Floppy got a little floppy there in that restart?
I would certainly say that. It was certainly looks like he's not the only one in the field that's hit that outside wall. I see streaks all over the place, and these guys are using each other up, using the racetrack up, and that looks like retaliation, Peter. I'm about 8 cautions behind, but that looked fairly intentional.
Well, they continue to ping pong off. I don't know if that was intentional. This one we might need to go back this one for a little bit. Let's see here. I mean, Canizaro is using up the number 16 machine, 100% using him up, and then the number 16. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that you might have called that one right there, G.
I might be coming off the bench cold, brother, but I've seen that before, and in that case, it looks like it was justified but intentional because he was getting used up there on the straightaway, and there's only so much you can take out there, and these guys are running 200 laps here at a place like ORP, and I think everybody just wants this to be over, and sometimes, Peter, it could be over if you go back to the garage.
That is one way for it to be over. I think that's what, unfortunately, Chuck Sweeting, I think, did here tonight. I think he said, you know what, boys have at it. Boys have at it. I'm gonna take the high road and leave this racetrack without any frenemies. And I don't know. I think we might have got some frenemies there on the racetrack. But Mike is gonna lead for another restart here. These caution flags are kind of long here tonight. Oh, there goes Robert Tripp getting another lucky dog with Total Nonstop Racing on the hood. Love to see that, Robert. I think that puts Robert now. Well, I was gonna say down only 2 laps. I think he's only down 2 laps now. Yeah, that's at least what the lifetime scoring says there on the left-hand side of your screen. But it's been a wild night, Garrett. The opening 100 laps or so dominated by the number 82 machine of John Canizaro. In fact, he led almost all opening 100 laps. Then a little bit of pit strategy as we went through a round of pit stops. Caution flag coming out with Philip Scott. When Philip Scott got into the side of John Canizaro Jr. when they were battling for the lead with the number 16 machine. That brought out really what has started this sequence of caution upon caution upon caution. At that point, that was caution flag number 3 here tonight. And then really since caution flag number 3, we have got maybe 10 laps in on a green flag run before another caution flag flies. But our pole sitter here tonight was the number 99 machine of Philip Scott, who really hasn't led a whole lot of laps. All things considered, been involved in now numerous accidents. It's just been one of those nights for a lot of these drivers. We interviewed Bill Edwards, I think, in the first caution we had around lap number 50, Garrett, and he said, hey, people who can make it to the end of the race, they'll have a good finish. I was kind of doubting him there after having a 70-lap green flag run, but he's right.
Certainly sounds like Bill knew what he was talking about, kind of saw where this race was trending, and it's easy for me to talk about what I see now coming off the streets, but you expected this coming to ORP, Peter. We talked about it as we were closing the broadcast last week that, you know, we weren't going to see a caution-free race, and obviously for our fans, our sponsors, and even us here in the broadcast booth, you want more than a 10-lap green flag run at a time, but cautions breed cautions, that's the saying, and that's certainly what we've been seeing here, but some of these guys, I was tuned into the broadcast on my way home, and I saw Jason Schue running up near the top 5, and Bob's in the top 10. I mean, it's not a big field here tonight, but these guys who are running the full season, running for points, this is an opportunity to kind of steal one and sneak one out with some of the faster cars having issues.
Yeah, that might very well be what we see here in the closing laps. Our points leader, Bronson Stafford, now back up into 4th position. We've seen a lot of pace out of the number 61 machine. And, of course, we've seen 3 wide on the last 3 restarts. That's what it means for some of these drivers. It has been wild, and it's going to be a wild final 12 laps. Pace car on pit road, green flag in the flagman's hand. We're getting set to go back racing here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. And Mike Floppy Tellier, well, no floppy this time. Gets on the loud pedal nice and neatly. Here comes Bronson Stafford looking to the outside of the other Hugger Oranges machine. It's Ford versus Chevrolet, and the Ford wants to take that position. We've seen that high line be strong all night long, but Bronson giving plenty of room to Matt Muir to run that middle groove. That middle groove has also been strong. It has been difficult for drivers to pull off the pass, but I think Bronson Stafford going to have it here as they head off in towards turn number 1. So move our points leader back up into the top 3, where we have seen him now for a good portion of the last 50 or so laps, give or take. He's been up and down the scoring pylon with a couple of these accidents as Jonathan Gaston side by side with the number 99 of Philip Scott back there. I thought there might have been contact between those two. Oh, the 16, Tom Bourne. That was, I don't think contact with another driver, but definitely contact with the outside retaining wall. John Canizaro Jr. has taken his number 82 behind the wall. A tough break for the driver who dominated, like I said, the opening 100 laps of tonight's event. So, we got Mike Tellier out front in the number 47, Bill Edwards in second. Here comes Bronson Stafford looking to the inside. This is the battle for second. Tellier with fresher tires, so one thing to note, Garrett, is Bill Edwards actually has the oldest tires in the top 3, about 10 laps older tires than Bronson Stafford, and I think that's paying dividends here. Bronson Stafford able to make that pass. Now it's a Canadian 1-2. I don't know if we can, well, maybe we can blame Canada for all the cautions here tonight.
We certainly should, Peter, and I think that's the final nail in the coffin for this league is Canadians running 1-2. It's something, though. Mike, like I talked about, Mike is so good here at ORP, and Bronson, our points leader, has just been so consistent. And it's every week he's in a podium position, and it certainly looked like he was faster than Bill Edwards. And after you telling me about the tire strategy that Bill played, that certainly makes sense. And with 7 to go, we'll see if he has enough here to run down Floppy. But we know Floppy's hard to pass, and it looks like that number 47 has a lot of speed in it.
And here's another driver who has been involved in a couple of accidents, but is trying to make the most of tonight. That's Jonathan Gaston in the number 72 machine, who's looking here for a podium. This would be a stellar run for that Chevrolet. Don't believe he's been on the podium so far this season. Gaston graphics on the hood, working his way through the corner. Up at the front of the field, Bronson Stafford a little bit faster than Mike Tellier, but not appreciably faster. 5 laps to go. And Garrett, it would be a great run for Mike. It'd be a good run for our points leader in the 61, but it'd also be one heck of a run for the number 72 as they are tight there going down the backstretch.
They are tight. These guys not giving each other an inch, and this is the good side-by-side racing that this place is capable of, and I'm glad I got to witness it here for a couple laps, and Bill's doing everything he can with those older tires, and like you talked about, this is a great run for Jonathan in that 72 machine, and it'll make you feel like $1 million and get that momentum going in the right direction to be able to hold off Bill Edwards for this 3rd place podium.
Philip Scott trying to creep back into the picture down in 5th. Garrett, Philip led, was going to lead, I think, a couple of laps if he was able to get around the number 16 during a pit cycle, did a little bit of an undercut. But how quickly this race has derailed. I thought maybe our pole sitter here tonight might have had a shot at his first win on an oval here in Total Nonstop Racing League, getting the win at Pocono, the Triangle, a couple of races ago, but going to come up again a little bit short here tonight. Up at the front of the field, Mike Tellier still holding on to a 1-second advantage and not really looking back at this point. Garrett, it's clean sailing for the 2 Canadians right now for the possible 1-2 out front. The only other Canadian driver, Brandon Buchwald, put it behind the wall on lap number 46 here tonight.
Yeah, a couple more turns to go here for Mike in the 47, get his first win of the season. Certainly didn't start this season off as well as he started last season with his first 2 victories in the first 2 races of the season, but all that matters is that he's going to get to go to victory lane tonight, Peter, as he goes through turns 3 and 4, and he will take the checkered flag in that number 47.
Yeah, on a night where it didn't seem like anyone wanted to win out front, as it seemed like the leaders kept taking each other out. Mike Tellier going to take advantage of that and take the 47 Camry to victory lane here in the True North Cannabis Company Toyota. Bronson Stafford going to come home in second. Looks like he's going to celebrate with Mike. And Jonathan Gaston, great run for this driver right here. Coming home on the podium. The number 16, Tom Bourne, going to come home in 7th. What a wild night as the number 40. Oh! That is indecent. That is indecent here on 3 Wide TV what just happened right there.
Peter, I don't want to get us censored, but I hope there were no children watching this, and that means you, Canizaro, so get to bed.
Get to bed, Canizaro. GG's in the chat from RC Planes number 59. Thank you for tuning in here tonight, RC Planes. Definitely a wild one here on the channel. Can't say we've had all too many quite like this one, as the number 47 burns it down here on the front straightaway. I thought, at one point here tonight, Garrett, I think the 47 of Tellier was involved in an accident. I think it brought out the second caution flag of the night. Maybe? No? Yes? I don't know. I think I brought out one of the caution flags tonight when Tellier got involved with Brandon Bookwald, if I recall. That might have been the caution that came out on lap number 41. I don't know. Or 47. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but Tellier blows the motor, and we'll get some post-race interviews lined up for everyone at home for talking with our top 3. And let's see, Garrett, why don't you take it away with our third-place finisher, Jonathan Gaston.
Hey, Jonathan, it's Garrett up in the booth. I got here late tonight, but looks like you got yourself a podium finish. Tell me a little bit about how the race went and how you ended up in third place.
Well, at the beginning of the race, I was pretty much junk. I almost ended up a lap down. I think it was a lap down. And I tell you, just must have had a lucky rabbit's foot with me because I kept missing pretty much most of those wrecks. I got spun once. And that last pit stop, I was really worried about fuel. So I just started saving. I didn't push it very hard. And I think that allowed me to come up through there a little bit. I think I had a little bit fresher tires than everybody else, but overall it was a fun night. Love short tracks.
So I mean, it's great for me to hear that you had a fun night and enjoyed the experience out here, but what did it seem like the overall atmosphere was? Were guys struggling out there with the setup, with grip? Are they just wanting to run each other over because it's ORP?
I think I like the setup personally, so I don't think that was a thing. I don't think there was a whole lot of patience. I know there was times where I let guys go, and then later on in the run, I tried to get by them, and they wouldn't let me by. I just think it was a lot of take and not a lot of give, in my opinion.
Well, we've certainly had our share of good, clean green flag races, so this was bound to happen, especially like Peter and I talk about at ORP, because every time we've come here, it's usually the same type of race, and I'm sure that goes for a lot of leagues. But you're heading into our first road course of the season next week at Knock Hill. Have you ever raced there, and what's your thoughts on road course racing?
I like certain road courses. I don't even think I own that track, so I'm going to have to either buy it or and put some practice laps in. But I tend to like road courses for the most part. It just depends on which track it is and how many laps I've turned on it.
Well, I certainly look forward to seeing you out there next week with some momentum for your third place finish. But before we let you go, any shout outs you'd like to give to your family, friends, and sponsors? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife. She takes care of my little boy while I get to do this. I'd like to make a shout out to Hall Drilling, Tom's Tires, Precision Design out of Williamstown, West Virginia. And if anybody's looking for a paint scheme, check me out on Facebook, Gaston's iRacing Graphics. I'd put my work up against just about anybody. But other than that, I thank you guys for putting this on. I really appreciate it, and it's been definitely a learning experience and fun at the same time.
Well, congratulations again, your third place. It's a pleasure having you at TNR, and I look forward to seeing what you can do next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. See you next.
And with that, I throw it down to Peter Short, who was with the Bronson Stafford podium party for the 105th week in a row. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, well, it's the Canadians top the top 2 spots here tonight. Bronson, Daytona, you got 2 wins. Very different racetrack to what you had out there tonight. And kind of a wild one, up and down the scoring pylon about 4 times. It seemed like that was a story for a lot of people, but you come away with it, extending your points lead. Tell us about it.
Yeah, a solid night. I honestly didn't really figure it out until about 25 laps into the start of the race, and I started running people down, and in my head, and I felt the car, and I told the team, I was like, I got it, like I figured it out, and everyone was like, oh no. We were really, really good after 20 laps. So all those cautions really, really hurt. I'm glad to come out of here with a 2nd place because on short run, I think I was probably about a 6th place car. I think if we stayed green as we were hitting the last round of stops at around 140-ish, I was going to come in and undercut Phillip, and I was going to jump in the lead, and I think we honestly, staying green, I think we would have had it. But 2nd place is good. It's always cool when Mike wins, too. That doesn't happen too much, so I'm really happy for him. Like, that's great.
Yeah, Mike was able to, I don't know, have a little bit more luck than everyone else out there on the racetrack here tonight. It seemed like right when it mattered most. But we go from this wild night to a wild road course. And I have to say, I love Not Kill. If you have not raced at Not Kill before, Bronson, it is a wild one. It is a lot of fun. It's unique and definitely has its own unique challenges. That I think one of the fun things is it is such a wild card. It's a road course that not a lot of people know. I definitely advise people to get practice laps in this week, including yourself. What are your thoughts about going to Not Kill next week?
I don't have the track, so I won't be there.
Oh,
We'll buy it for him, Peter. I'll send them the money tomorrow.
If you buy me the track, I'll show up. But I've never ran the track before. I've never ran a series that ran the track, and so I don't have it, kind of thing.
I'll tell you what,
I wish we were doing
missing
Watkins
out.
Glen, man. I wish we were doing Watkins Glen.
Well, we are doing Watkins Glen. We're doing it
like
late in the season. Well, I'll tell you what. I love Watkins Glen. I love Knock Hill more.
Where is Knock Hill?
It's in the UK.
Yeah, I've never been to that track in my life.
Well, you'll be there next week. Trust us.
Garrett, you might want to not do that. There might be more people looking for that money.
I'll tell you what.
I don't know how many people have the track, but no, I don't know. We'll see. If I end up with the track, I'd be here. Otherwise, I don't think I'd buy it just to do one race on it for a league. As much fun as I've been having this season, I'm not looking forward to a road course in this car. This car is a monster at ovals. I assume it's going to be even more deadly at a road course, and let alone one I've never ran at. If I had it, I'd show up. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not too worried. I mean, we have a good start of the season, so it's all good.
Yeah, I personally think Knock Hill should be on every calendar because it is just that much fun.
I don't even know the track. I have no idea. I'll look it up for you after. I probably know it. I just don't know its name.
You probably don't know it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. You probably don't know it because it's an obscure track, but I think it is definitely one of the best tracks that I've ever broadcasted here on 3 Wide TV as well. But nonetheless, a good run for you here tonight. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you like to give out?
Oh, yeah, the whole team. We did. We had a really good little run going. Tom was really quick. Mir's getting better every week. I mean, he almost got a top 5. Tom had some fun with a couple drivers tonight. I don't know what went on there, really. I don't know. Obviously, Mike got the win, and P2 for myself, so a really good team night. I think we're all really solid kind of thing, and just it really comes down to strategy and when yellows come out and whatnot. So, all that, and obviously you and Garrett broadcasting, putting the league on and everything, and TNR is fun. It's a really fun place. Tonight was, I think, our most cautions of the season, and yet it still didn't really feel all that bad. So, I think that says a lot.
Definitely. Looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack, Bronson, and best of luck there, bud.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our runner-up here tonight, Bronson Stafford. Now I think it is time to go down to Victory Lane, where Garrett Gleason has caught up with Mike Floppy Tellier.
Well, Mike, I'm glad to be here in Victory Lane joining you. I got to the broadcast late, and the last time I was with you, you got a win taken away from you that you rightfully deserved, and it looks like you got it back, bud. How'd you do it?
Magic fairy dust? I don't know. There was so much going on the last however many laps. There was cautions, and I shot myself in the foot with a tire mishap early on. I was like, oh, I'm going to come down and top off with fuel. And I pulled into my pit stall and still had my tires checked. So I literally had a right side set of tires with a pace lap on them that I burnt for nothing. I don't know. Hi, Garrett. Welcome to Victory Lane. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice when Peter lets me see what Victory Lane looks like. I mean, it's old. It's old for you guys. You've been here so often. I mean, I talked about you starting off last season with your 2 wins. This is your first win of this season. You love ORP. Do you love it even more now?
Oh, I do. I've always vouched for coming here and racing here, and I've stole a couple big events racing this track, and I'm glad I got another league win in the Cup Series or the main oval series at TNR. I don't get very many of these. This is like number 4, so here I am. I don't even know what to do with my hands.
It's cool to see, and at TNR we love to take that oval win of yours and just throw it out the window, because next week we're going to Knock Hill, a place that not many of your fellow competitors know anything about. Have you ever run any laps there?
I don't even own the track. I don't know. How do you turn right?
I'm not sure. I think maybe Peter will have to put out a tutorial for everyone, but it looks like a fun track, and I guess I'll be making a $30 donation to your team fund here with you and Bronson so you can race next week, because if not, it's going to be a lonely place in Canada free land. And I mean, you don't contribute much to society up there in Canada, but you contribute a lot to TNR, and we certainly want you here.
Yeah, well, maybe we can discuss maybe a Watkins Glen or something instead, because I've heard a lot of rumors. Like I think the whole top 3 don't even have the track tonight. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Knock Hill. I don't know. I was going to talk to you later. We'll see.
Well, Mike, we'll see, but for right now, we want to let you enjoy your win and whatever place you're going to put your fairy dust tonight. I think we'll leave that for everybody's imaginations. But before I let you go, the floor is yours. Say hello to your family, friends, and teammates, sponsors, and whatever, Mike. I mean, you could pretty much do an ad right now for OnlyFans if you wanted to.
I was thinking about like going on Feet Finder and trying to find some way to get some sort of behind the scenes income. So, if anyone knows anyone looking for weird feet pics, hit me up. No, no, Sky Motorsports, I got a good team behind me. Bronson kind of helped me out mid race with the line. Like, I kind of told him early on, you want to, dime in the corner a little, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, it clicked, and so I was like, oh, I'll let you go and I'll follow you and learn from there. So good teamwork tonight. Like I said, the magic fairy dust or horseshoe or something for letting me get through the wrecks that all seem to happen right around me. I was involved in one that kind of looked like netcode, so sorry to. I think it was the 96. I got into him because of netcode. Sorry, buddy. My kids, family, if you guys ever watch this, probably not. But TNR for putting on this awesome league, 3-Wide TV for broadcasting, Jason Schue for sponsoring us and letting us do this every week. It's fun. It's a blast. I love being here. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, Mike, for all that you do for the league, and go enjoy your victory. But it looked like to me in the 20 laps I got the call of this race that you absolutely deserved it and earned it.
Yeah, I worked for it. But thanks again, Garrett. Have a good one, guys.
All right, Peter, that wraps it up with our victorious Mike Floppy Tellier here at ORP. I guess I'll throw it back to you. We can do something with the grid.
Yeah, we can definitely wrap things up here. My throat needs some water. I'll tell you.
Was it fairy dust?
I'll probably need some of that too. But Mike Floppy Tellier is a race winner with all that fairy dust just spewing out the back of the 47. Bronson Stafford in second. Jonathan Gaston in third. Bill Edwards in fourth. Philip Scott in fifth. Matt Moyer in sixth. Good finish for the 77. Tom Borden in seventh. Jason Schue in eighth. Bob Giaquinto in ninth. Robert Tripp finishing in 10th. 11th for John Canizaro Jr., Chuck Sweeting in 12th, Brandon Buchwald 13th, 14th, Vincent Valvano, and rounding out our 15-car field here tonight, Johnny Williams, who unfortunately had an issue on lap number 2. But, no, that's the wrong graphic. There we go, that's the right button. Well, Garrett, took us a little bit of a long one here tonight with all the caution flags that seem to add up there at the end. I hope we, as a broadcaster, I hope we go to Not Kill, because it's a lot of fun. It's a great racetrack, but I guess, if no one has the racetrack, that's a problem too. So we'll work it out, I'm sure, and figure out. But Garrett, it's a lot of fun here tonight. I enjoyed commentating in peace. I didn't have to have your smell beside me.
Yeah, lucky you, Peter, and thank you for what you did tonight. I had a bit of a contract negotiation for my work, and hopefully that's all squared away, and we'll be back in business next week at hopefully Not Kill if it's financially feasible for me to help some of these guys out. So we'll see what happens, but we have some great sponsors here at TNR. We'll look forward to putting on the best product we can, whether it's at Not Kill or somewhere else here on 3YTV.
Yeah, big shout out to Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, Danae Jewelers, good friends over at Schue's Lawn Care Service. Jason Schue even mowed the lawn here at ORP here tonight, or Lucas Oil Raceway Park, or Indianapolis Raceway Park, whatever it is this year. I don't know. It changes, seems like every other year. And of course, everyone else, Talking Giants as well. So, folks, stay safe and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next week. See ya.